them, and, you know, I think that's very nice that they're trying to donate it to the.
What is your recommendation?
Not to accept it.
Okay.
I know, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to get it out of you.
Sorry.
Does it affect any of the other land that the town has already started to?
No.
Walking trails and-
Nothing
No.
contiguous?
It's a very
It's
small.
on the corner of Beach and Pleasant Street. And the property on Pleasant Street that is just north of it is the property that we had spent some time looking at because they have farm animals there. The road, the dirt road between that property and this lot is owned by the residents. So the Boudreaux and the people that own the farm with the animals also own it. They would be, I would think, a potential buyer for it because it's just across the dirt street.
So, yeah, so I would agree with your recommendation, because we don't have any, and I've been on the land use committee, and it's like, you know, we tried to save land that had some potential of abutting other land, so I think it would be wise to, we thank them very much for thinking of the town and wanting to donate this, but as you said, we don't have really any use for it, so.
It would be useful to the person that owns the farm.
Yeah, right.
I agree.
So maybe you could sell it to them or even donate to them if they were so inclined, so. So why don't we take a motion and a vote?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we notify Francis and Elaine Boudreaux that the town does not have interest in acquiring the property that they offered, but that we thank them for the proposal.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Good work, Town Administrator Aronson.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next order of business is a recommendation to appoint Ken Pacheco to the Historical Commission. And I have a letter here from Jim Arruda, who's the chairman of that commission. At our meeting of the Historical Commission on Tuesday, February 13th, the board voted unanimously to recommend Mr. Kenneth Pacheco for appointment as a member and Ms. Pamela Nickerson for appointment as an alternate member. Thank you for your consideration of your vote.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the Historical Commission's recommendation to appoint Mr. Ken Pacheco as a member of the Historical Commission and Ms. Pamela Nickerson as an alternate member to the Historical Commission.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to mention, for anyone who is wondering about that piece of land, total square feet is 5,227. It's smaller than a third of an acre, or
That's tiny.
so 5,227. But if you're an abutter, you may be interested in contacting Mr. and Mrs. Boudreaux, and we do have an address in Florida if you're interested.
Okay, the next item is Selectmen budget discussion.
Is there?
Do we need to do this tonight? I mean, we've been at
We need
this
to
an
do
hour.
it soon.
We've been at this an hour and a half. And
I know.
Before we even get an answer, I'll be honest, I have been sick. I have been juggling this with my other job. I honestly have not time to thoughtfully go over this.
Is that going to cause a problem?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Don't lie to us.
No, I'm not. It'll be fine. We have to talk about it next week, though. Like, we
I just
have
want a
to.
thoughtful
No, I
discussion,
just-
that's all. I don't want to feel pressed for time, I don't, you
And
know.
I just sent both of you the document. And-
That's the other
And if you look at that, it doesn't show up on the hard copy, but you know where you put comments?
Yep.
I put comments in about all the things we changed. So
Okay.
you should be able to follow it.
So the budget that we have here, this is the town budget.
Is that the one?
So the only thing we have to look at are the comments that you just sent us?
The changes that Mallory and I sat down to do, that made, and with the comments that
Are
go
they
with
only
it.
the selectmen's budget, or are they the town
Selectmen.
budget?
No, that's
Selectmen.
Selectmen.
Okay.
This is just Selectmen budget.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we table until next week discussion on the selectmen's budget.
I'll second that. Before we vote, I just wanted to apologize to you both. I do apologize. Normally, I'm well prepared, but I had a little rough haul with the flu
Yeah, no, you
last
did,
week,
yeah.
so.
Let me tell you, that's been sitting on my desk since it was printed because I've been looking at other stuff. So,
I don't feel
and I haven't gotten, I won't say I won't get sick, no, you don't have to
I
apologize.
definitely
Thank you,
gave you an
Selectman, for that.
onslaught of items, so
I'm insulted. You guys didn't think it was
We're
that
gonna, we're
important.
gonna get you for that, Mallory.
I know I'm,
Okay.
so
We have
now
a
we're on
motion
town
and a
vehicle
second.
use
Okay,
policy.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Town vehicle use policy, I mean, again, I'm assuming the same thing. It's not riveting stuff,
No.
but,
Is
do you
everybody
want to
okay
table
with,
it?
I don't know.
with taking that under
I
advisement?
read the
till next
first
week?
part, but not the second part. There's another part in there about hired equipment.
Yes, so that's what Tom Ferry's actually using right now, currently.
Right.
It's
Okay.
a good, solid policy. It just, I included it in there because I referenced it, and I just thought it should be part of
Okay,
it.
we gotta do the budget for next week, so when do you, if we just take this under advisement, it'll be on a future agenda?
Yeah, and it won't be next week.
Mr. Chairman,
I
I
won't.
move that we take the vehicle use policy under advisement for a future meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. New business. There's a request for an easement for the installation of pole and underground electrical facilities for 1458 Somerset Ave, and that is the police station, the new police station. And a lot of legalese here. But basically what National Grid is asking for is an easement. There's a map in here that shows where it is. And it just is from the corner of where the police station property, the new police station property is, from Somerset Ave to get to the pole where it will connect with the police station.
There's a map.
Yeah, right there. It's right from there to there. And I guess the bottom line is if we want to have power in the police station,
Sounds important.
we don't have much
Seems
choice.
important. We'll get that done.
And it's in the plan. It's not like this just came out of the blue.
We don't want them working in the dark, is what
Oh,
you're saying.
what they need permission for is the underground part.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we grant the easement requested by National Grid to install the underground electrical
Yeah.
facilities.
And overhead, underground and overhead.
Well, he's,
No,
wait a
well,
minute.
this is how it reads.
All right.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we,
That's the, you don't read the whole thing, I know, but maybe here's a shorter one, whatever. I think we just say overhead and underground easement for National Grid to connect.
Mr. Chairman, I withdraw that attempt at a motion a minute ago. Mr. Chairman, I move that we grant the easement request of National Grid for one pole, which may be erected at a different time, with wires and cables, and all necessary anchors, guys, and appurtenances, hereinafter referred to as the overhead system, and the underground electric distribution system, as requested.
Second.
That was a tough one. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Okay, great. Okay, the next item is resignation of Pam Waller from the Board of Registrars. And I have a letter here from Pam Waller to the Board of Selectmen and the Town Clerk. Please accept this letter as notification that I'm resigning from my position on the Board of Registrars. I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve on the Board of Registrars and to have served the town of Dayton.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the resignation of Pamela Waller from the Board of Registrars with thanks and appreciation.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And then I have a recommendation from Sue Maderas, our town clerk, for the appointment of Susan Lawrence to the Board of Registrars. I am requesting that the Board of Selectmen appoint Susan Lawrence to the Board of Registrars for an unexpired term of Pam Waller, which ends on June 30th, 2020. Pam submitted a resignation letter just a few minutes ago. We read it. Thank you for your consideration of this matter, and please don't hesitate to contact me with any questions. So
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the recommendation of the town clerk to appoint Ms. Susan Lawrence to the Dayton Board of Registrars.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye,
Motion carries. Okay, well,
and thank you for serving,
thank
Ms.
you, Jan.
Lawrence, very much.
I seem to see
I
the
think
next.
this was it.
What is
Mr.
this?
Chairman, I think that's
It's a
this
post.
letter.
I think we can just,
I
I
think-
think we just take it
yeah.
from the
It didn't
agenda.
copy
Mr.
well.
Are you accepting motions?
I am accepting motions.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the Conservation Commission recommendation to appoint Mr. Frank Crisafulli as an associate member.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Congratulations and thank you, Mr.
Thanks for
Crisafulli.
stepping up and volunteering for that. That's a great
Absolutely.
thing. Okay.
We gotta be almost.
Installation of,
No, mosquito. We already did that, Mr. Chairman. Don't make us
oh, we
do
did,
that.
yeah. Okay, the mosquito, we have a thing here from Bristol County Mosquito Control Project. And what it reads as follows. It's to the Board of Health. Have they acted on this, I wonder, as the Board of Health?
I don't think this is something that required
No,
action.
they just tell you we're doing
Yeah,
it.
they're just telling you they're spraying
Okay, let
and they're
me-
just letting us know. that's
Okay,
all.
let me read it. This is a notice of aerial spraying, or aerial larval control application, spraying, in accordance with 333 CMR 13047, A and B. Please consider this as notification of the pending spring, summer, if needed, aerial application targeting mosquito larvae in the larger wetlands within Bristol County. The Bristol County Mosquito Control Project will be conducting aerial applications in 2018 between 4 AM and 9 PM as conditions permit. Applications will be conducted over specific large wetlands in the towns of, all the towns in Bristol County, basically, including Dayton. The insecticides to be used will be one or more of the following: the granule formulation of BTI, which is Bacillus thuringiensis, israelensis,
Israelensis.
Okay. Trade name Vectobac, Vetrolex, I'm not going to read the scientific name.
WD.
The combination of BTI and Bacillus cephalaris, which is the Vectolex,
Vectomax.
Vectomax,
Mhm.
or Vectobac. Only mosquito breeding sites will be treated, and no application will take place over residents. For further information, contact Bristol County Mosquito Control Project at 508-823-5253. This legal notice was placed in the Taunton Gazette, the Sun Chronicle, and the New Bedford Standard Times on Friday, February 16th. Okay, just keep that in mind. They're saying they're not going to spray over residential, so my concern is always the bees. So it shouldn't affect the bees if they're not going to do residential areas. Because the bee club will be on top of that if they, and I'll make them aware of that.
So we will post this, I'm sure the Board of Health will post it on their website. We'll make sure that it gets up on the website and stays on there throughout the spraying season.
So how are they doing aerial, aircraft?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So they're going to do it not over a residential area, how are they gonna isolate that?
Well, I think they're going to go for the big areas, the big swamps, lakes, that kind of stuff. That's rivers, maybe, So that's a good question. I'm gonna make the bee club over here that meets at the Aggie, where my wife's in that. So
Oh, Bristol County beekeepers.
yeah, so if they have any concerns, they can talk to the state about it, because that's always a concern. Kill the bees.
I will just note I believe, I don't know if it's this, they've been doing, they do this every
They do
year
this
around the
for-
same time.
Yeah, I
They've been
know,
doing
I
it
know.
for years.
Sometimes
Although I have heard runners got sprayed, so be careful when
Runners?
you're out there running.
I'm sure, I'm not even sure these things are toxic to bees. So, but anyways, okay.
Mr. Chairman, under new business, grant the easement for the installation of that underground service and over the river and through the woods for the police station. I would like to make an amendment to that motion, which would make it subject to review by town council before we actually give it to them. They always look at our easements and things. And since the easement language was written by National Grid,
Yeah.
I would like to amend my motion to include the wording, subject to approval of town council.
I have one other question. The police station building committee has seen this, right? I know they don't have any authority.
It's all in the
but
plan.
they-
It's all in the
okay.
plan.
All right.
It's just that all easements get recorded at the county, and
Absolutely. No, I
we
agree.
never,
Yep,
I'll
we
sec-
usually get them,
Mhm.
but this is one we're giving.
right.
I'm going to second her motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any further discussion? If none, all in favor, say aye.
Okay, so
Aye.
that's the vote on the amendment. Now we need to go back and vote on the original motion as amended. So, I'm making that request that you call for a second vote. It is a vote on the original motion as now amended.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you, Selectman.
Thank you.
Goulart.
Okay. Wow, moving right along. This is an announcement from the Dayton, Freetown, Berkeley Historical Societies regarding an upcoming presentation on the history of clocks. And this will be a telling time. History of clocks and watches in New England. It will be by Bob Frischman. It will be Sunday, March 18th, 2018, at 2 p.m. at the Freetown Historical Society on 1 Slab Bridge Road, Sonnet. Learn about the history of clocks and watches in New England, beginning with the arrival of the Mayflower up to the adoption of standard time by railroads in the 19th century. The presentation will provide an overview of clock history, styles, makers, values, collecting, repairing, and cultural importance. The lecture is accompanied by over 100 images of timepieces. The talk will run for less than 1 hour and followed by an informal roadshow appraisal session. Attendees are invited to bring old clocks or watches of their own for information and possible evaluation. This event is free and open to the public. Okay. Yep.
Piece of correspondence that came today.
Oh, yeah.
Do we need to read?
Yeah, no, I've read it. I can probably get over it if you want me to.
Hmm?
Yeah, this is
Excuse me.
a thing that I think people are getting in the mail, and it's a notification for a company called Clean Choice. And what it is they're making an offer to provide clean energy as opposed to the energy that's being provided by National Grid. So, what it is, it says, National Grid will still handle billing and service as they do now. You're simply telling National Grid to get the electricity for your business from Clean Choice Energy, a licensed supplier of energy. When you switch, you'll get 100% clean, pollution-free energy, ensuring a better environment for future generations. You lock in a predictable rate, predictable fixed rate, and you're not satisfied for any reason, you can switch back at any time with no cancellation fee and no interruption of services. So just so you know, the current rate, you can write it down, is 10.
Currently it's 10 cents, just over 10.
10 over, current rate is just over 10 cents a kilowatt hour. This rate will be 12.9 cents a kilowatt hour. So it's a little bit of an increase. The question is, if you're interested in clean energy more than willing to pay a little bit more, you might want to do that.
There's a statement in it that's not correct. They said if you're not happy with it, you can get out of it, but you can't get back into aggregation because it's a 3-year contract. So if anyone decides to go with, this is green energy, if you decide to get out of the aggregation rate that the town is currently in with all those other communities
You can't get back in?
and go with this company is not going to charge you a fee to get out of it. But once you get out of aggregation that the town has, you cannot get back into it until the next contract comes up. We just entered a 3-year contract, so you need to be aware of that.
I actually have a question for you, Selectman Goulart, based on that. You remember, I think you remember, of course, from when we had the Muni Energy meetings. I believe perhaps this is more relevant when we go to do the next contract in 3 years, but the town, I believe, does have the option to determine the sources of energy and the percentages of each. So if we had an outpouring of support for green energy, the next time the contract comes up, my understanding is it is more expensive, of course, the green energy, but the town could consider using more green energy for the aggregate program.
Yeah, my understanding is whoever represents the town, that's part of the negotiation
Right.
of the source, the generation
That's
source.
correct.
I thought it was like a market. They go shop it at the market, and
They
if
do.
you have,
They do.
But there's always a mix in the market, like, there's a lot of talk about trying to bring hydro from Quebec.
yeah,
Who knows, in 3 years. Well, the contract we have right now, there is hydro in it.
okay.
It could increase if they ever bring that through. We could have more hydro, which is also clean. But that's all part of that whole
Correct.
aggregation debate, I'll call it.
Except New Hampshire has not approved the Northern Pass. which
Right,
brings it
right,
down,
they're
which is
still
a
going
big issue up
around.
there. Yeah, but
Yeah.
looks like it might not go. Anyway. So if you want clean energy and you want to pay a little bit more for it,
Oh, while
because
we're
we all want
talking,
clean energy.
while we're talking about energy, have we heard anything from the lady from MMA? Was it Charlotte?
No.
She was supposed to get in touch with us after the first of the year. If you could give that information to Mallory, because when she came to talk to us about getting a special rate for all town buildings, she predicted that it would be at least a penny less
That's
than the
correct.
aggregation rate.
That's
And she
correct.
told us to wait till after the new contract kicked in, which was January. So we need to get in touch with her because she needs to come back and tell us what kind of a deal she can get for the town. It's only municipal buildings.
And we're allowed to pull out of the aggregation?
No, it doesn't affect the
Oh, okay.
aggregation. The whole town would, that,
Oh,
aggregation is still there for the residents.
Yep.
We're under aggregation, but if she can get us this better deal of a penny less, there's a way to do it, and the town municipal buildings benefit, there's not a penalty.
So
But
we'll
she's
wait,
done this in other communities.
so we'll get a report next week or
pull up
whatever.
if I can.
And we saw her at the MMA trade show, remember?
Yeah, she lives in Swansea, so she's right
Close
local.
by.
So the other,
Oh, yeah, she was by the,
She was at the
green charging
electric car.
station thing.
Correct,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, I know her.
we have our usual announcements, and I would,
Mr. Chairman,
would-
is it okay if I just put those on Facebook,
Yeah, I was just gonna
website, and
suggest
I
that.
send them out every
right.
week.
And
Okay.
they're on the website.
Correct.
They're available, they're posted, so.
You can't avoid them as
And
public.
they're always the same, so.
They are always,
can't avoid
they've
them.
never changed, I can promise you that.
Any selectmen reports? No? Great. Acknowledge.
You guys are
Great,
tired,
we're not
like,
doing anything.
2 hours.
like move us along.
We got more to go after this, so.
Really, I counted nip bottles today.
You've got a home improvement project to get back to.
I got a lot of home improvement projects. Okay, acknowledgements. We have a donation to the Francis Torres Land Fund. It's from Dorothy Torres, and it's an amount of $25. And,
Mr. Chairman, I move that we acknowledge the donation to the Francis Torres Land Fund with thanks and appreciation.
Second,
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
We have another anonymous donation to Prime Time in the amount of $30. And this is from Sheila Nay, Assistant Program Manager. No, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we acknowledge the donation of $30 to Prime Time with thanks and appreciation.
I second that.
Okay, motion carries. Approval of minutes.
Nope, we didn't vote.
We don't-
Table those, please, until next week.
Okay, got it.
Okay,
You have warrants?
yeah.
We didn't vote on
Mr. Chairman,
On what?
the donation.
Do we-
We got a second, so we should have to vote real quick.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the following warrants be approved. Warrant 35A-18 in the amount of $91,452.24 payroll. And warrant 35B-18 in the amount of $179,214.77 accounts payable be approved.
Second,
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
carries. Do we have any other public input before we go into executive session? Yep. Mr.
Before, we used to put the warrants on the, did we change that for, it's not necessary to print them anymore?
Well, no,
I noticed the
no,
change, I know it's probably.
may I?
we don't always have the information.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's.
We don't always have the information, so.
What has happened is because we have begun having this system where we have the agenda set by Monday, I don't think they have the, perhaps not the totals, but the exact number, correct, what the lettering is, how to identify, I think that's why.
Because I used to, I like to be,
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
trying to learn from
That's why we read it all.
Read my page.
the money, yeah. Finance.
If,
All right.
I'm sorry, she just said, read my page, and all I could think of was read my lips. Just read my page.
okay, at this point, I will entertain a motion to go in executive session under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, number 3 and 6. 3 being discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation of an open meeting may be detrimental, have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares, I do so declare. And number 6, to consider purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate if the chair declares an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body, I do so declare.
Oh, I just
So
have
moved.
Huckleberry.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Good thing you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we will not be going back into open session at the end.
Thank you, Kate.